Ellis's video is in response to a Jimmy Dore YouTube Shorts that shows a Mr. Vindman with the Congress using phrases like hard power and soft power, and I'm sure using and having used phrases like American foreign policy, tactical military from how James Madison communicated for them to communicate about such and the relativity of such and the value of such. See, we have people that are using their differences as service people, as first responders, etc. The difference of that, they want to have natures of debate, wherein how that has been valued by at the last second. They give the benefit of the doubt based on this person's title, etc. They're still on a mass scale, federal evidences rackets rolls. WFSB has foreign and domestic military involved with remote uses of the information shown to Michael Vindman and his brother. In other words, WFSB attached me to fake conversations with themselves and with others about the World Trade Center attack, and with doctors, fake conversations to doctors I never had conversations with. There's ones with Leahy name that also pretended this, with judges and prosecutors and people that work with the courts personally and professionally, criminally involved with them. And it's not just their fault. In other words, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, their family members. But these are sick people that have been with the intelligence community, with medical campuses, the same ones that fire campuses running in, and people associated with the other natures of campuses running into high lab progressions at the same time with their family as families and with their neighbors and the news, because they have not worse than groupthink. They have everyone speaking to others where the police forms measure and maintain that they're fakes regarding titles worth. They're so sick to be criminally for influence factory. How could you guys leave on this is evidence of recorded relative to where and how we have black pupils, whites of eyes, and we still have sick fake punks leaving that out from their subject of witch trials, let alone of slavery, let alone of them together. Regardless what extent their witch trials were made up, if they were completely made up. They're still about that. They're still about that preaching method that measured and maintained what everyone said, collusions against themselves and pretending otherwise they were sensed through themselves. That's what our founders communicated. That's James Madison, Marbury versus Madison. I learned it means not a lawyer. It means real justice must satisfy all appearances of just justice. Black pupils, clearer than day. Kids can discern that there was a breaching method that was sustained against all the countries and then against Native Americans. And everyone can say it's the least plausible. Then Columbus came over and their narratives on paper to the people, while having been used remotely since some ancient times, A through Z. Any leader that would come from this, as locations, areas, and states, anywhere the species body is now, suits and ties, counters, exceptions, defended its tactical terrible we could afford to be, let alone to protract. Syntax proper, speaking for nature, and exceptions in exception nature, the way nature uses it to communicate with us. How are you, polymath pilgrim? So in other words, power. Nature shows us that we are right where it's about to be too hot or too cold or both. Nature shows us the difference between its definition of power and might, its definitions of power / might. In other words, for example, are distinct from our own. Nature shows us that its identity relationship to itself, and the value of that is not us nor the other species bodies. Why we have two eyes. Why we have a consciousness that to an extent even bugs share. In other words, the one time, instead of killing a bug, if a bug gets in your house, try to communicate with it. Like, try to come on, please come on the napkin or the paper towel. because then you can just fold the paper towel, you can get it to go out. And then you save the animals, insects' life, even if it's a little thing. But in other words, there's consciousness. There's things that are not theory, that are pretended theory. And there are things that are pretended theory that are recorded reliant upon criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, or quality aspects of factory nature. See, when we hear people using words like delusions, they're arguing over huge things. They're leaving out the actual, like with education, when they speak on power. You don't leave out what nature gives us. Nature shows us it's a distinct identity of hyper-simultaneous nature. Because we are distinct from the other species' bodies, but we are non-distinct from them. And we are simultaneous with them. But slash hyper-simultaneous is further that which is showing us it is neither them nor us. Why, how all the different species have quality aspects distinct, nature distinct, but also non-distinct. Again, simultaneous slash hyper-simultaneous. We're being shown how we are a quality of diffusion. We're how the identity of all space slash existence is and will only stay, like every identity relative to positive and negative equally. But is a quality of diffusion making more? What is further positive to itself here with Earth's special difference, or it is forced away from here as a negative identity relationship to itself and its value by Earth's special difference. It is forced away from here, leads of high D's, is forced space nature transfer. Relative with appreciation of English grammar, the way it was revealed to be taught, nature itself shows us. With every subject, we have an extent. With every subject of what is true, always we have an extent of that which is the complete identity of all space slash existence. We have an extent of its body that as the value of that subject. And even though it's only the smallest finite part of itself, any subject that we could grapple with, in other words, it comes with its complete identity of a relationship to itself and the value of that three ways increasing as value, where value equals nature is value slash value is nature, and nature's value. So, in the opposite, conversely, simultaneously, as the same identity of relativity, to a special difference with like, for example, how it is functional, where its identity is and has remained distinctly left to right or east to west, from west to east and north to south. This is also held right where we are being shown that we are right between what is too hot and too cold, and we are responsible for temperature changes and environmental changes. But where that blame is, it is simultaneously changed. It is blamed on other things, others ourselves, and even when correctly, it's those truths are used for lies, exactly the way the breaching method employed only to be capable of being, otherwise of being sensed, but through their own people. Our founders' communications, if anyone tries to speak about them right and honestly, they are sensed right through their own people, right through our own people. American history has been read criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw. That's why you have a T-tax brought up, leaving out the witch trials and the slavery entrenched northern colonies, southern colonies, in northern states and southern states. That's why the Civil War came. Our founders had a breaching method, had international laws. If anyone broke them and they didn't tell them, someone who did, they sensed that person, they hurt them and everyone around them. Internationally monitored conversations rolls with the breaching method, with the slavery entrenched northern colonies, southern colonies, northern states, southern states, and still replacing what our founders communicated about this. In other words, they need things to be pretended nature are debatable that are not. They need the value of their difference as service, as this, as that, fire person, a first responder, EMS. EMS has roles with all kinds of natures of organized crimes. And we need these people more than anything, not by accident. This breaching method is playing games too with difference /s. We have the same color eyes, different color eyes at the same time. See, there's more to it than just the revelations that come from this. Following how nature answers our questions, shows us questions. See, but we have this nature's course abridged. We're supposed to get the Constitution unabridged and valued. Why and how we have rights that are too numerous to have to list. And relative to how they get over on that by pretending it's just too many people coming into the superior courts each day, for example, or into forced mental evaluations with probate court judges. They have it locked in places. Elderly homes and veteran homes too. They can't leave there. There's a torture method there too. It was perfected from some ancient times. If they pick one of the things out, or two of the things out, and everything that's done against them comes through other people. Then you have all these people that their career, but my career is with this. That's why it's important to pay attention to how the breaching method employed all natures of industries, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, when people want to speak about the value of their job or someone else's. We have readings of statutes regarding such that are read criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, and there are means to discern this. But offensively, there are means to sense. In other words, all kinds of rackets. Even the lawyers, you go to lawyers for help, they have more natures of organized crime, self-value roles. In other words, all sides of criminal and civil cases, the lawyers, their family members, and the courts, the same thing. This is the intelligence side to them. And the news, they're putting the same things at the same time, and with names next to body dumping spots. It's not complicated. It's all connected through time. These campuses have been connected since before anyone was born and through people's lifetimes. These people in our faces have James Madison's communications replaced. He was the one with the founders behind him, who George Washington agreed to help and to use the plan of. That's what forced the American Revolution. That's what forced the means to win it. And it wasn't just against England. It was to force England to help us and to an extent, so they could start to become, a country where they had nothing out of people that were still roles with the breaching method. Black people, it is time. Okay, who disbelieves? Get them on paper, one name and sequence, please. So they're using, in other words, Mr. Vindman, please follow mandated law for Congress too, and for the military. Get them one name and sequence onto paper. Weatherfield police are going to make confessions about their roles with the military, foreign and domestic. And the Saudis, they forced the collusions with them, with these Mendes police. That the Demorals also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with them, with home break-ins in the area through time relative, and other natures of predicate acts, mail crimes, all along Route 175. Before I ever went to Mobile gas station, they recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. There was the name Caesar involved. That's why I went to get a job there. The same thing with the UPS. And then they tried to hide that by bringing in their roles with the intelligence with FedEx too. Shout out to FedEx and UPS right through that. In other words, and other shipping locations, even people associated with like shipping Coca-Cola, involved with corners of the streets near me with the FBI, including former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, and people involved with the Witness Protection Program, further involved with predicate acts at each of the campuses I went to behind my back. And they tried to make fake exceptions that show that too. If they try to bring it up, it shows that they were planting things, fake ties, fake natures and ties to me by timing where I was going to walk. As people who were leading up to the World Trade Center has all kinds of natures of organized crimes where there are natures of businesses that shouldn't be. They couldn't be if they follow mandated law properly. And so these are people that value the rules with the natures of the law, criminally foreign influence with them. Whole predicate acts with facts methods, whole crime methods are involved with the people that have been using the right to lie, where they don't have the right to lie, as we could discern with their World Trade Center predicate acts. WFSB will confess and demonstrate this. There are people who have roles with like Hilton Catterley. Hilton Catterley was a good man. I could tell by looking at him. But I'm saying good men are still involved with evil, and they will cover that up clearer than day for his roles with the FBI and like people in my fourth grade class that are increasingly tied to body donor spots and fake ties, fake natures of ties to me with the South Seville and his neighbors, like one's name Fianza, also next to the state judicial branch offices, also with one's name Demaro and Oliveri, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles of predicate acts with names with intelligence at the corners of Elm Streets and Weathersfield and Rocky Hill together. Both Elm Streets has something to do with people planting predicate acts and evidences into databases and making fake ties, fake names, like acting so someone can film a fake thing, a fake exception. And these are people that are roles with all sides of criminal and civil cases. And the courts at the same time locked into the same sequence shifts, the same predicate acts with the news and the relative body dumping spots. So increasingly, Weathersfield, Interbranch, and Intelligence have roles with body dumping spots intercities, and names interstates are involved with the World Trade Center attack and their roles with the court next to it, as ones on predicate acts on my street with the police forging and switching names. One of them confessed to name Scalora involved with them with predicate acts. Let's get them on paper, one name in sequence, vaccines. Let's get the Weathersfield police and the FBI in the courts at the same time on to see paper. And with whiting forensics, with state police, they have roles with state police with whiting forensics, with people increasingly involved with Joshua Julian, with years apart relative predicate acts and predicate acts methods of people with the news and foreign and domestic military. These are even Clinton people, and people mentioned in a 1989 Reader's Digest article are also increasingly people involved with child abusers, leaders of kids, people involved with Arthur Coya, and John LeConte, and a Dominic Lepriato, and a Thaddeus Grabowski, also predicate acts with WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, and WTNH sources, too. And whole wire crime acts and methods in digital crimes. The news and the courts and Weathersfield police, their Facebook pages have roles with upskirt picture principle that they forced with other digital crimes. With the Joshua Julian, too, with some black KKK, Confederate flag themed, Latino themed, Italian themed, Afghani themed, Pakistani themed, all brought up at once as the ones with some black, white, female judges, too, involved with the Detective Samuda and the FBI before and after the World Trade Center attack with predicate acts, federal evidences crime, falsified police reports, refusing to put anything on paper, affecting confessions at the courts, cover-ups of that. They're switching names. Yeah. That's what, in other words, please get them on paper, one name in sequence. And please get the mayors and the family members on paper, Weathersfield students. Please, someone do what's right. Get one of them on paper with the police chief Centron, his daughter too. Police chief Centron, you can be a coward. I'm going to get your daughter on paper because you brought her into it. I was going to do it like a man and only speak about your name. We're going to do it like you want to be a little punk coward. What are you doing with the Mazzucato Bakery and with that corner with you since before they moved to that spot? Years before it, you have a whole bunch of people there in Rocky Hill. You Weathersfield Police Chief Centron retired. And with the other Weathersfield, Elm Street, planting evidences with you guys. Fake sequence shifts, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me, like with that Oliveri family and a whole bunch of people at Trinity College involved with this Cololo and the past neighbors, the Calizo / Lewis, and forced, tricked her, persuaded to roles with intelligence, foreign and domestic, a whole bunch of people, and this Robert Rodriguez that had roles with untimely deaths with them and the others on my street, planting evidences with people, and I asked people all along Route 3 that have been doing that, which is a conjunctive to the state judicial branch officers know. Vaccines.